Megan was a blonde, shy 18-year-old with a secret she carried like a weight. Despite her fear of intimacy and sex, she had developed an addiction to porn, an escape that seemed harmless at first. But lately, her interests had shifted toward something darker, something paranormal. The occult fascinated her, especially after she read about sex magic online. She knew she shouldn't dabble in these things, but curiosity pulled her in like a tide she couldn't fight. One night, alone in her room, Megan decided to act on her curiosity. She dimmed the lights, lit candles around her Ouija board, and whispered an incantation she had memorized. She wasn't sure what to expect, but a thrill ran through her body as she focused on the spell, feeling something strange in the air, a heavy presence. Her hands trembled as she moved the Ouija planchette, asking for a sign. The candles flickered wildly, and Megan froze, feeling a chill creep down her spine. She pushed away her fear, thinking nothing more would come of it. But that night, her dreams were different. In her sleep, she experienced passion like she never had before. It felt vivid, almost real. The touch, the heat, the pleasure. Each night for the next 3 days, the dreams returned, more intense than before. Megan woke up breathless, shaken by how much she enjoyed them. But then, after the third night, the dreams stopped. Weeks passed, and her mundane reality returned. It took time before Megan realized she had only performed the ritual once, and it wasn't enough to sustain whatever force she had awakened. Desperate to feel that intensity again, she gathered the candles and the Ouija board for another attempt. The moment she began, a sharp pain shot through her stomach. It was unlike anything she had ever felt, twisting, relentless. She doubled over, gasping, the pain growing so unbearable that she could barely move. For 3 days, she was bedridden, barely able to eat or stand without the pain flaring up. Concerned and terrified, Megan finally called out to her mother, who rushed her to the hospital. At the hospital, doctors were baffled. Megan was weak, her body pale and covered in cold sweat. They ran tests, took scans, and what they found left them speechless. Megan wasn't just sick, she was pregnant. And not with 1 baby, but 3. The images showed twisted, deformed shapes growing at an unnatural rate inside her womb. The doctors were scrambling to figure out what to do, but Megan didn't have time. As they reviewed the X-rays in another room, the contractions hit her like a tidal wave. Within minutes, her body took over. Megan could feel the horrific, unnatural force pushing through her. 3 distorted, colorful shapes tore their way into the world, falling hard onto the floor of the delivery room. She screamed in agony as the black, oily substance that covered her babies mixed with her blood on the tiles. The doctors rushed in too late, horrified by what they saw. 3 grotesque, demon-like infants and Megan, barely breathing. The room was heavy with the stench of something unholy, as if the veil between worlds had been ripped apart. Megan's eyes fluttered open, her breath shallow, and she saw them, her children, already growing, their twisted bodies pulsing with life. She should have felt terror, but something inside her shifted. The bond was immediate. As the doctors ran, she called out weakly, "Stop." Her demon children froze at the command, their sharp eyes turning to her. She could see fear in the faces of those trying to escape, but her children didn't move to harm her. They shrank before her eyes, shrinking back into infant forms, crawling toward their mother. Megan, exhausted, fell to her knees and wept. From the corner of her eye, she saw something, an outline, a shadow of a figure that only she could see. It felt familiar, almost like a lover's embrace. The father, she realized, was never human. Slowly, Megan stood, cradling her demon offspring, and with a glance, she left the delivery room. Her body ached, but she felt strangely powerful. Together, she and her children walked through the hospital's main entrance, unnoticed by the fleeing crowds, into the night. The darkness seemed to embrace them as they disappeared.